Hi everyone. So I am doing my morning reflection today, and I'm doing it on a little bit on Zimbabwe, but also on looking at the spiritual element. And when we look at our lands, we look at our countries, every country has a spiritual quality to it because countries go through wars, they go through hardships, they go through periods of flourishing. And we've gone through that in Canada. So things always change and things can always get better. But if you look at the United States trades with everybody, almost everybody. It trades with China, it trades with Japan, it trades with many different places. And so Canada too, I think, should be trading with many different places. But they don't give up on their core values. They don't put God last. They put God at the center of everything. And they call themselves a Christian country. So for us here in Canada too, we're going through our own challenges, we're going through our own struggles. And I agree with what America is doing, sending back people who have come as refugees if they can't get jobs. And even I will go back to Zimbabwe if they don't want me here. I've always said that. But it's not fair to the people of the country. If you come here and you work hard and you have a job and you've proven yourself, then yes, you should be allowed to stay because the country should be able to come back up. But even Father Chris Ayla was saying in his talk, in our Catholic teaching, there has to be a balance. So we can't keep taking in more and more and more people when people here don't have jobs, don't have food, don't have housing. That just becomes more of a burden on the system, and that's not the way it should work. And I agree with what Father Ayla is saying, because there are people like me who have been sitting in Canada. We can't get any support from the church for our families, for our mothers. We are responsible for them, but we can't get jobs. And you have to have a job paying at least $100,000 to buy a house here or to buy something decent. So it's virtually impossible. Now that I've been out of the property market for over 10 years, I'll qualify as a first-time buyer. But when I bought my place, I bought it on a very high-end interest rate. And that's how I could do it as a single person. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. And I went not to one of the main banks because the main banks are regulated differently. I went to one of the smaller banks. That bank has now been taken over by Scotiabank. So there's not much competition in Canada. There's not much creation of different businesses. And that's why people leave and they go to America because the market there is more robust. I've met quite a few people here in my condominium building and they've been leaving. And whenever I've asked them, where are you going? They're like, oh, we're going to America. So people are getting jobs in America, mainly in the finance sector, because that's growing there. And research, another area, they're leaving. The researchers from America want to come here, but our researchers are going there. Our educators are going there. So I don't know what the thing is. Like, I don't know why they're so in opposition to President Trump, because he's trying to look after their country. He's bringing prices down for them. He's bringing the price of fuel down for them. If you go to America, you can buy a whole outfit on sale, like a 3-piece suit, your skirt, your jacket, and a blouse for under $50 if you go for their Black Friday sales. Here, you'll never get that kind of deal. That's why people like me buy through Amazon. We buy through different online platforms because they've got the economy of scales. And that's how they do it. Because they're getting the parts from China and Japan and all the other places, India, and then they're taking it to America and the labor is cheap. So that's how they do it. That's why they even outsource here to us. because the labor is cheap. So I don't know why people are so up in arms about him, but like if I get a job in America, I would also go. If I got a secretarial job or a job in HR or in research or teaching, I would go. And even trying to get a job here to teach theology, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. You can't. The church here always tells you, oh, you don't have a job in the church, so you can't get a job in the church. So how are you supposed to get a job in the church? In any church. It doesn't have to be the Catholic Church. It could be of another denomination. How are you supposed to get that job if they keep saying, well, you don't have a job in the church, when I've been volunteering in the church from the time I was a little girl? All of that volunteer work is also work. It's me using my time, my talent, helping others. And anybody can volunteer in the church that's Christian. They're always looking for people. It's not like they're blocking people out. It's not like they're saying, oh, don't come. Except at my parish, we have too many volunteers. But generally speaking, now the big push is for social media. And even our new Pope is pushing for that. He wants people to evangelize using social media. He wants people to get the gospel out using social media platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, X. He wants us to use it and to help the church to grow. So if you're not doing something, you can do something. You can sign up and sign up with EWTN. You can retweet for them. You can get brochures about what programs they have on EWTN, and you can share those in your parish. I do that for EWTN. So there's that. There's also the media missionary side of it with the Marians. If you become a Marian helper, you can join in with praying the Rosary and the Divine Mercy online. And yes, you can pray it by yourself, but when you do the collective prayer, we believe it's more powerful. So you can join in when the services are live, and you can participate that way. You can listen to the talks that the priests give, which are on YouTube. And the EWTN is free. If you have a smart TV, you can download the app and you can watch the programs from anywhere in the world. Whichever one you want to watch, it's available. So there's that. Then there's the Vatican news. Okay, it's blocked here in Canada because of our government. Our government has a dispute with the Facebook, so we can't post the news. But there's the Vatican news, and you can get that on YouTube also. You can help with social media, with so many different platforms. St. Jude's League is another one. The Miraculous Medal. There's Friends of St. Therese. There's so many of them that we can participate in and that we can use to help the church to grow. And all of these organizations, they do post on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not only a platform for non-religious groups. All of the organizations are using LinkedIn. They're using it for recruiting. They're using it for their posts. They're using it to get the word out. The Jesuits in Britain, the Jesuits in Canada, I help them from here. I retweet for them. I share for them sometimes. Not everything, because most of the things I'm not involved in. They have a lot of the posts about their work in the schools, so I'm not working in the schools there. But when it comes to the prayer side, when it comes to the reflections and all of that, I try to also tap into what they're doing and then use that in what I'm doing as well. So there's a lot of ways that we can grow our Christian communities. We can also raise awareness of the persecution of Christians in different places around the world. And we can pray for a revival of our Christian faith in our own communities. And that's what's happening in Britain. People are praying for the revival of the Christian faith. And young people are looking for answers, so they're turning to the Bible, which is good, instead of turning to crime and drugs and everything else. So there's positive ways that we can help our church and our communities, and we help on the ground from where we are. So that's what I do. And I don't hide anything that I'm doing. Everybody is welcome to go and do it. It's not a secret. There's no secret societies in the church. So that's just one of the ways we can help, is through our online platforms. And in our church, maybe not in other traditions, but in our church, when people die, and when I say church, I mean the Christian church, when people die, when people are married, when people have baptisms, it's not it's not taboo to not share those things. We post photos on social media. They live stream the services. The whole funeral can be live streamed if that's what you want. We post pictures. When people die, they post it on social media. So that's what I follow when I follow the teachings of the church, because when Vatican II came out, that was one of the things that we were encouraged to do as people, as lay people, is to use the communication tools that are available, and even using different languages. So there are many different cultures and different languages in the Catholic Church. But if you go to a place, they'll say the Mass in English most of the time. When the Vatican puts out the Mass, and that sometimes I tune out, because unlike with Pope Francis, the Pope will sometimes speak in another language, and if I don't understand what he's saying and there's no English translation, I just stop following it within 3 seconds. So that's why I follow channels like Shalom TV, and I follow channels, even Vatican English. They don't always have the English translation fully. So I follow other channels where I know that I can get the Vatican news and the Pope's Mass and Angeles and all that, but where there's an English translation, because I don't enjoy it if I'm just sitting there and I don't understand what the person is saying. So those are just some of the ways that you can get involved. Whether you're my age or older or younger, you can get involved in that way. CLC here is dying in Canada, because again, it's a lot of older people, it's a lot of retired people, and even when I wanted to join a group, they told me, oh, well, we don't have enough people. And then when they contacted me to say, well, you can join now, we were doing something else in the parish. So I never got involved in CLC here. But if people are interested, they do have opportunities, and you can find out about them through the Jesuits or through your parish. There's lots of opportunities to help in unpaid work in Canada. There are many, many opportunities. So that's just one of the points I wanted to mention. And also, when we say we can't see God, that's true. But when we see nature, when we see earth, when we see creation, that also takes us closer to God. That helps us to draw closer to God. And Jesus tells us, because you've seen me, you've seen the Father. It's like when you see somebody's son or somebody's daughter, you'll hear the saying, well, if you've seen the daughter, you've seen the Father. Or if you've seen the Son, you've seen the Father. So it's the same thing with Jesus. He came in the flesh, and he grew up, and he taught, and he healed, and he preached, and he did all the things that we do as human beings. So if we've seen Jesus, then we've seen the Father, and we can be assured of that we see him through the scriptures. And today with AI and technology, we know exactly how Jesus looked as a man. So we can be grateful for that, and we can be grateful that we believe in the invisible world, in the angels, in the saints, that we each have a guardian angel assigned to us to help us on our life's journey. And angels are depicted in different cultures in different ways. In our culture, they depicted as light, they depicted as playful, like playing instruments. They're depicted as protectors. There's none of the darkness or seriousness or narrowness that is associated with earthly life. And often when you see like imagery, or you see babies and they're laughing or they're talking away, they'll say, oh, they're talking to the angels. So we believe in that invisible world, which is made visible to us. And we believe that God is present even in the invisible, that God is always with us, and that the angels watch over us, and that they care about us. They care about our future and our well-being. And they're an inspiration to us. They watch over us from a secret threshold that is where the invisible becomes into visible form. And even the people talk about seeing an aura around you. We believe that can be part of your soul, that aura that's around you. We don't believe that angels are far away from us, distant. We don't believe in that kind of theology. But angels are very important in our culture. We have the archangels, the ones that came, like Archangel Raphael, the angel of healing, Archangel Gabriel, the angel of communication, Archangel Michael, the one who takes up spiritual warfare and protects us. And we believe in those archangels. We call on them, we invoke their protection, at least in the Catholic tradition we do. Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, we hold them in reverence in our culture. So if you are feeling alone, you can always ask your guardian angel to intercede for you and to pray for you, to help you on your journey. And we can know that our angels are always working for us because they're working for God. They're working to bring about love and light in the world. They're working to bring about what is God's plan in the world and what God wants. So, yeah, inspiration, when we talk about inspiration, artists can't create without the inspiration of angels. If we're not inspired, if there's not that spark within us to create, then that divine inspiration doesn't come about, and certain generations are given certain inspirations. Even if you look at the music that came out of Motown, or if you look at the music that comes out of Africa, there's a different inspiration to it. There's a different feeling to it. And it came out of certain generations. And the creativity of those artists, the God-given talents they had, are different to the inspiration that's in the world today, or the talents that's in the world today. And that's why we say that there's a divine presence that flows through people, that flows through our God-given talents and how we are inspired to use them in the world. And when those divine talents are blocked, either through injustice or man-made barriers, then your soul begins to die a little bit because there's nowhere for that creative energy to go. So we look for ways to use our creative talents, whether it's through painting, like art, or singing, or playing the piano or an instrument. We look for ways to use our creative skills so that our soul doesn't become damaged. That's what I believe. Our guardian angels know us intimately, and even if you go to a place, that has been damaged by war or massacres or a haunted house, we believe in haunted places, people who come from Zimbabwe, you feel that difference in the spirituality of the place compared to being inside a church or being inside a home that has been blessed or being in a place, a country that's at peace. You sense that different spirituality, and that's the invisible. It's an intuitive knowing, but it's something that you can't explain to others. You just feel different in a different country. And you have to be aware of that. You have to make an intentional commitment to understand what you're feeling in that place. If you're not paying attention to that, then you won't feel it. But I know for me, when I step into a church, I know how my face lights up. I know I feel different when I'm inside a church that is holy and that is blessed, compared to if I go to a place. I visited places where they've held Italian prisoners in Europe, and they've turned those places into chapels. They've turned the bunkers where they were held into prayer rooms. So that's how we take what is destructive and we turn it into something that is towards God. Even the dates that were chosen for Christmas, for Easter, all of those are also sometimes associated with pagan festivals or pagan feasts. But we use those dates to bring glory to God and to bring praise to God and to bring that love and light into our lives and the warmth of God into our lives. So those are the ones I wanted to touch on today. And if you grew up in Africa, you grew up with a different culture compared to Canada. You grew up with a different mass. You grew up with a different music in the church. And you feel that. If you leave that place and you come here, you feel that it's a loss. It's like a death. Because it's not going to be the same. Yes, you can adjust. You can, integrate, and you can move forward. And that's what all of us have to do who are living here. But it is a loss. And you do grieve for it because it's different. There's a vibrancy in the African churches. There's a vibrancy with the music, with the movement of body, with the informality. It's very different to Canada or America or England. It's a different spirituality, even though we're all part of the same church. And that's what Vatican II allows us to do. It allows us to be inculturated into the churches where we are. But for those of us who are removed from it, who are removed from that church in Africa or removed from that vibrancy, it is a loss because it's not going to be the same. So these are just some of the things I wanted to mention and some of the points I wanted to touch on, because people say we do not know where we come from and we do not know where we're going. But for us who are Catholic, we know where we come from and we know where we're going. We came from God and we're going back to God. And when our bodies decay and deteriorate, or if those ashes will go into the earth or our bodies, and they'll become part of nature. They'll become part of the stars. They'll become part of life here on earth. But our souls, we believe, will go back to the Lord. And that's what we hold on to. We came from God and we're going back to God. So those are the points I wanted to touch on for reflection today. The importance of knowing that there's an invisible world as well as a visible world. And to know that our histories, even if we leave the lands that we came from, those histories are still part of us. They're still part of our psyche. They're still part of our culture. They're still part of who we are. And I posted those videos on Robert Mugabe and Zimbabwe just to show you how things changed and the transition and what happened. And Britain takes no responsibility for some of the destruction that has happened in Africa and in Zimbabwe. And sanctions never bring about what they're supposed to. They only land up hurting the ordinary person. They never hurt. Did you ever see Robert Mugabe being stopped from going anywhere? To the UN, to world leaders, organizations. Did you ever see him being stopped? But there were sanctions, right? So who suffered? Who suffered? I'll leave you with that.